Welcome to Whiskey's the Journey. My name's Peter Fasciano. Today's Friday. I have another bottle battle for you. If you don't know what this segment is all about, I have a whole bunch of whiskey samples that I put together, threw them into a sample box, and I randomly drew these two. I'm a whiskey promiscuous channel, so these could be anything. They could be a matchup of Scotch, Irish, Japanese, American, bourbon, rye. Hopefully you get the idea. I have them stickered here on the bottom. I put them together for a specific reason that I thought maybe this would be a good matchup for some reason. I'm gonna nose them and taste them and talk about them a little bit. And then at the very end of the video, I will reveal to myself what it is that I've been drinking. And you already know because I'm flashing the bottles up right here. So you have an idea of what's in each glass. I don't. They smell very sweet just by pouring those two. There is a tremendous amount of vanilla, like vanilla from a bourbon, like in my nose. So even before smelling these, they smell really good and they smell like a typical bourbon. Before I get this going, I do have an October I have an October giveaway happening. All of the rules to that giveaway are in the description below. If you're looking to support the channel in some way, go ahead and read through those. Unfortunately, it's American participants only or US participants only. I can't ship anything overseas. And if you watch this and you end up liking what I'm doing, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and turn that bell notification on because I produce videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So like I said, when I poured them, I'm getting a lot of bourbon vibes with that vanilla coming out of the glass. There's a little bit of an astringency note coming through as well. Lots of black pepper spice. And this is glass one, the glass on my right. Yeah, I mean, it smells a little bit, I don't know, like dirty. These are brand new Glencairns. They're clean, they're washed, they're not from the dishwasher, clean cloth, everything. But there's a little bit of a musty, dirty note kind of coming through. Typical vanilla brown sugar caramel notes. It's not coming across as very dark or oaky or proofy. It's just your basic bourbon notes with a little bit of astringency and a little bit of a funk to it. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Cheers, everybody. Wow, okay. Wasn't expecting that. That is extremely sweet on the palate. That funkiness is not there at all. There's an effervescence happening. There's a good amount of oak sinking underneath the tongue, mid-palate. Good vanilla, good caramel, a little bit of spice, that pepper spice, like a cracked black pepper that you will get over a salad. You get those wafting notes of freshly ground cracked pepper. Yeah. On the nose, not so happy with it, but on the palate, it's coming through. I think it's pretty good. Let me go ahead and it's pretty good. It's nothing fantastic. I don't think it's very high proof. I definitely think it's a bourbon. It's just a nice, easy sipping, brainless kind of pour. Not very complex. It's not developing into anything. All those bourbon notes are there. Yeah, pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and get a little rinse of water here and then move on to glass number two. All right, moving on to glass number two. I'd say the finish on glass number one, the one on my right, is medium. That's about it. Short to medium. All right, this actually smells pretty good too. Not getting a whole lot of astringency with it. Again, typical bourbon notes. Nothing fantastic. There's a cardboardy note that is coming through a little bit on the far end of that palate or the far end of that nose. Little dusty cardboard. Maybe a little bit of peanut as well. Not really a whole lot to it. On the nose, I think I like glass number one more just because there's something to it, even though there's a little bit of funkiness coming through. It just seems to be a little bit more dynamic than glass two. All right, let's go ahead and get glass two on the palate. Cheers. Glass two, a little thinner, a little more astringent on the palate, a little more oaky. That effervescence that I was getting in glass one is also in glass two. I'm just wondering if that's just my palate today. Your palate can vary from day to day, from tasting to tasting. But yeah, all of those traditional bourbon notes are also in here. And that finish is not a good finish at all. It is turning pretty bitter, sucking the moisture off my tongue, a little drying. Vanilla, brown sugar, and caramel are there, but they're low. And then the spice is there as well. And all around, just not the best tasting on the palate. So I would give the nose and the palate to glass number 1, but you can't trust that. I had 1 sip of each. So what I'm going to do is get a sip of water, concentrate a little bit on the finish, because there is a rising tannin note or a tannic bitter oak note that's kind of just sinking in and latching on that I'm not a fan of. I'm going to see how long that goes, get a rinse of water, take another sip of both, and then let you know which one I like the most. Obviously, basically what I've been saying so far, I'm leaning a little bit more towards glass number 1. So let me get a rinse of water and then move on to the second sip of glass 2. All right, that tannin note, that bitter oak note, eventually just fell off a cliff and disappeared. But wasn't a big fan of that. So let's go ahead and get to sip number 2. Thin, bitter, spicy, pretty oaky. Effervescence is still there, so I do like that. And there are very subtle notes of a typical bourbon, but they're very low and they're very muted. The dominance of this glass is oaky bitterness with a little bit of spice. All right, let's see if that sip influences what I'm getting in glass number 1. Let me get a rinse of water and move on to glass number 1. All right, back to number 1. Now there's more butterscotch, caramel, vanilla, and brown sugar jumping out of the glass with glass number 1. But still, a little bit of a dusty cardboard, kind of astringent note also coming through. All right, let's get it on the palate. Vanilla sweetness, cracked black pepper, a little bit of oak, tannin kind of sinking in underneath the tongue, getting a little bit bitter on the back end, but it's not going up over the top. There is a little bit of sweetness, more sweetness in glass number 1 than glass number 2. I like glass number 1 much more than glass number 2. By no means do I particularly care for either of them, but if I were to have another pour of one of them, it would be glass number 1. Coming across as a little bit more complex, a little bit more depth of flavor, but also I need to make sure you know, by no means am I using those words to describe a really vibrant type of bourbon. But compared to glass number 2, glass number 1 is winning this hands down. So there's really no reason to go on. So let me go ahead and figure out what these are. But while I'm doing this, I think there's just enough here, equal amounts, that I would like to do a blend, see how this goes. Once I reveal what it is, I'm going to grab the bottles, refresh my memory of the price and the proof, and then explain, if it's not obvious, why I put these together. So my least favorite, glass number 2, is Evan Williams Bottled-In-Bondand. Oh my gosh, you know what this means? There's no other Bottled-In-Bonds that I have these matched up with. For the win, which is very surprising, the Evan Williams Bottled-In-Bond. I have this in my matchup multiple times, and every single time that I have put it into the matchups, whatever went up against Evan Williams just destroyed it. And apparently, in this matchup, the Evan Hill was not my favorite, which is, I guess, great for those of you who like Evan Williams Bottled-In-Bond. Wow, I am shocked on that. So let me go ahead and grab the bottles, bring them out. They're Bottled-In-Bond. They're 4 years old, 100 proof. Let me go ahead and, actually, no, they're not. Let me grab the bottles. All right. I am absolutely stunned and very pleased that Evan Williams actually came through on a head-to-head. So we're looking at the Evan Williams 100 proof Bottled-In-Bond, $18.99. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. All these prices are before tax. And then we've got the Bottled-In-Bond Evan Hill. And I do believe this is a 7-year, $48.99. Yeah, pleased and shocked all at the same time. If you have had these two in a matchup, let me know how it fared in the comments down below. I know this is the second iteration of the 7-year Bottled-In-Bond from Evan Hill. I think they had like a 6-year or something like that. And then they canceled that or discontinued it and then re-released it with a 7-year age statement. Very interesting. All right, let me go ahead and get onto this blend and see how this goes. All right, this is gonna sound really, really strange. I'm in barbecue competitions and KCBS barbecue competitions, and one of the meats that we cook is chicken. And when I take the chicken thigh skins off and scrape the underlying fat off of the chicken skin itself, there's a specific scent or smell that the metal knife has with the chicken skin. And that's exactly what this reminds me of. There is a little bit of a sweet note, but it's dominated by like a fatty, metallic type note. Little pepper and a slight amount of vanilla. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Yeah, that's allspice. Not allspice as in the spice allspice, but there is a lot of spice coming out of the glass. Christmas spice, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, you name it. It's all here. I don't think there's enough sweet to offset that amount of spice. The oak and the oak bitterness that I was getting in one of these is not there. The finish just completely falls off a cliff. I'm hit with spice, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of oak, and then it just disappears. I would say that I like both of these individually better than the blend of the two. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave it. If you are as surprised as I am, leave me some comments down below wherever you're at in your journey. I hope you're enjoying it. Till the next time, we'll talk to everybody later. Bye. Wow. Evan Williams, Bottled-In-Bond for the win. Yeah, I'm happy about that.